Hello and welcome to week 50 of my wildlife year. This is actually quite weird because I've sort of like been struggling to keep up with them lately because I've just been so busy, and I'm actually recording this introduction less than an hour after I've recorded my last bit of video that's going to appear in this week's video. So I'm actually up to date, which means that Christmas week I'll be recording a few bits and pieces, but I can concentrate on everything else that I've got to do because basically Christmas week is going to be quite busy. You'll find that if you're actually married to a minister that there's a lot goes on in the lead up to Christmas. So I'm really looking forward to this week's video. I'm going to start off with just a wee update in Chonky. Chonky's the bat that was catted back in sort of, late summer, early autumn, and the holes in the wings have healed up really nicely, and the broken wing seems to have healed up reasonably well. I'm hoping she'll be able to fly come spring. I'm having to keep her in care. If you've been watching earlier videos, you'll know this. I'm having to keep her in care over winter. So I just sort of re-updating her, and here she is, chomping on one of our mealworms. Quite quiet in the hedge behind me, but I don't know how you can hear. There's quite a lot of starlings listening there at the minute. They go up. Might be able to hear them a bit more as I go through the gate. Some blackbirds as well calling. They're quite quiet now. A bit louder. They're all settling down maybe for the night. So a few flutters in there. So I'm just up to shut up the hens. So I'll go and do that. I don't know whether it was cold last night. It doesn't feel that cold this morning, but got two mice in the traps in the kitchen that come in overnight. So I'm guessing the mice. Because it's winter and it's usually nice we're getting at this time of year. Summer's a bankful thing, I don't know why. So let's go and see what's in them. I was right about the first one. It is indeed a wood mouse. And it's a male. So you've been evicted. The second one is also a wood mouse. Quite a big chunky one. Looks like a male looking at another male looking at the back end of it. We'll soon see. It is indeed another male. Quite obviously a male, this one. A bit older. It is obviously a male, and I'm just looking, it's lost a bit of its tail. That's fairly common in wood mice. I think it's when they must get, something's almost caught them and they just sort of lose a bit of their tail. A bit like lizards do, reptiles do. Unfortunately for mice, their tail doesn't grow back, unlike lizards. So, right, you're gone, and I'll pop you in a tub for eviction. Some of the old pellets that I picked up last week were a wee bit damp, one of the tubs, so I've just popped them on top of the boiler here for a few days, and I don't know whether you can actually hear that, but even sounds dry in my hand. So they've dried out very nicely. I could have actually put these in the oven with the other lot, but because they were so wet, they would have really, stank the place out. I was getting enough complaints from my wife and daughter about the smell without actually having some really smelly ones put in there. Just going up to shut up the hens, and as you can hear, hedge is pretty busy with
Starlings. I wouldn't like to guess how many's in there. That's quite impressive.
Right, this bit here is just another wee plug for the event that I've got on the 12th of January, Wednesday 12th of January at 7 p.m, an evening with the ecologist. Basically, because it costs £5, hopefully that's not going to break the bank, and come along on Zoom and I'll basically talk, relate some stories about wildlife. Some of them will be a bit humorous. Sometimes funny things do happen with wildlife. There will also be a few photos that I'll show and some small video clips, but it'll mainly be me talking. So if you can put up with that, if you've put up with my wildlife here videos all year, hopefully you'll be able to put up with that, me talking for an hour and a half or so. Probably just be maybe an hour and a quarter on that, and then I'll maybe do a question and answer bit at the end. Still not 100% sure how the evening is going to go. But yes, so plug for that. Details are in any of my social media accounts, the links in the bio, such like.
There's the Starlings having a wee murmuration. Oh, there it's split. There's the other one coming back together. Not sure if that's all the ones that are spending the night in the hedge at the moment, but nice wee murmuration. Always amazes me how they can just turn as one like that. I'm lucky enough to have a monkey puzzle tree in the garden. Not the greatest one for biodiversity, but occasionally you'll see a bird in it, especially something like a blue tit, because in amongst all those really sharp leaves or needles, I mean, these technically, it's a conifer, so these technically are just big needles here. Quite often you'll have spider webs all over it, so the blue tits come in and the great tits and such like and hunt for the spiders. But for the first time ever, well, since we moved here, there's some cones have fallen off. I've never noticed them before in previous years. I assume, when I say the first time ever me noticing them, I assume that they normally fall off every year, but I've just never seen them before. But they're quite nice ones. That one actually looks as if it's been nibbled up by something. So I'm just going to gather them up and take them into my office and dry them off for my wildlife collection, for doing educational work.
Right, I'm not doing a myth bust this week. I'm doing a little pet peeve, and that is newspapers and journalists reporting on wildlife stories. This week there was one of the tabloids had the story of jackals going to be the latest invaders of Britain, wildlife invaders of Britain, and how they were going to cause major problems. Several things about this story. One is they did have experts talking, and experts quoted in the story, but basically they were talking about how jackals were moving from sort of like Middle East and Eastern Europe into sort of Central Europe. There was nothing about them coming to Britain, and how were they going to get here? Were they going to buy a dinghy and just come across, or come through the Channel Tunnel? I don't know how they were sort of like what they thought, how they thought these jackals were going to even get to the UK. They're nowhere near the UK at the moment. There's, I think, Italy, probably the furthest west they are. So absolute crazy. And what was even worse is, I think there's 4 photos in the story online. 3 of them were foxes, and I'm not talking about sort of like, you know, a different species of fox to what we get here. I'm talking about our red fox. That's what the photos were, and clearly red foxes. So just absolutely crazy, and that really sort of like annoys me. And it doesn't take much, you know, if you're getting employed as a journalist, be a journalist and do the research. One that always sticks in my mind is one from a few years ago where an elderly gentleman, it's quoted in the newspaper story of a massive badger coming into his garden with two young cubs, and the teeth were sort of 6 inches long, and this massive big badger. And I thought, well, I'm not having a go at the guy, the elderly gentleman. It's not his fault. I mean, if he doesn't know about wildlife, it's not his fault. But the journalist, it would have taken them less than a minute to confirm what it actually was, because that's how long it took me. I did a search for wild boar in that area of southern England, and there's a wild boar population, which makes sense. Wild boar have stripes in their faces, have big teeth. That's all it was. It was a wild boar. Didn't take that. It took me, as I say, less than a minute to find that out. And journalists went and did this sensationalism story. It happens all throughout the year. There's always, the stories, the autumn stories of houses being invaded with giant spiders and all that. They're there all the time. It's sort of like, they just stay hidden. It's only during the breeding season that they come out and become more active. Really, lazy journalism and sensational journalism when it comes to wildlife is just not helpful at all. So that's my pet peeve for the week.
Right, so I'm heading upstairs. Got a little tub, because I've just noticed as I'm walking back from the shop, there's a butterfly flying about right at the top of the house. Dexter, don't trip me up as I go upstairs, please. So I've got to go and rescue it and take it out to the outbuildings. There it is there, just above Dexter. Right there. Small tortoiseshell. No great surprise there, Dexter just noticed it. So there it is in the tub. Dexter taking great interest in it. And take it outside and put it in the outbuildings. Hello. Look.
Get it away from me.
My wife's a bit phobic of the butterflies. I wonder if that butterfly there is the one that I released last week. So I'll just release this one too in here. Here it is. Right, yesterday I found some cones off the monkey puzzle tree here, and I said I'd never noticed cones before. I thought that was a bit strange. That's basically because I didn't know much about monkey puzzle trees. They're not a native species, so there's not one that I've really come across that much. But I found out something really interesting. Basically, like some conifers, some are male trees, some are female trees. They only produce male cones or female cones. This one is a female, only produces female cones, and it can take 3 years or so for them to actually produce cones. So this is why we only moved in 3 years ago. This is why I've never noticed cones off the monkey puzzle tree before, because there hasn't been any in the time we've been here. So really interesting, and it's also sort of like I'm learning stuff all the time. Although sort of like I've been involved in ecology for a long time, you're always learning stuff. It doesn't matter what age you are, you're always learning something new. So that's my latest bit, that monkey puzzle trees are both male and female, depending on what tree it is. They only produce one type of reproductive thing, whether it's the small cones that the males produce or the larger cones for the female, and it takes about 3 years for them to produce cones. I also said that the monkey puzzle tree is quite good, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see this. Just about there, you can see the sort of glistening of cobwebs. I'm just trying to see, is that a spider on one actually? I don't know if it is, but I think hopefully you'll be able to see the spider webs on the tree. So this is why. Oh, I'm looking high up and look at that. There's one there. Spider's webs. This is why blue tits and great tits and such like that go after some invertebrates are quite often seen in the monkey puzzle tree. Once I start to look for cobwebs, I'm seeing them all over the place.
So, I hope you've enjoyed my wildlife year week 50. Week 51 next week. I don't know when it will be out because Christmas Day is on Saturday. And Sunday it's a church service day, so I'll be doing a lot of stuff like that. So expect it sort of like maybe midweek of that week, because I want to get it out of the way so that I'm just doing, when I finishing off the year with just week 52. So yes, so hopefully you'll see me in yes, just after Christmas. So because I want to see you again, take care, stay safe, enjoy the wildlife, and have a Merry Christmas. Cheers, bye bye.